Chronicles, How to Become Successful at Practice. Please give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. May I start by passing my respects to ABC, the Ogun of Odenda, ABC. I also would like to greet a truly exceptional legal icon, exceptional in all ways, and the Honorable Justice G.O. Shoremi, OFR, retired Justice of the Court of Appeal. I greet the representatives of Kabiyesi Olumide Ayeni. Welcome. I also want to take the opportunity to greet the parents of Chief Kayode Aderemi. Daddy and mommy, you are welcome, sir and ma. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and in no particular order, may I greet Chief Kayode Aderemi and my role this afternoon is one that I can't fortunate. I've been asked by Chief Kayode Aderemi to review the book Chronicles. But let me say a few things about the author, in addition to what has been said about him this afternoon. He's been described as loving, passionate, and brilliant, and intelligent, and putting a human face to all his interfaces in life. I want to say that that is quite correct, but I will add two other attributes in the positive light. The first is that he's ardent, and as we shall see, that translates into the book that we are all here to celebrate and to present today, which I've been asked to review. And with apologies to our Baba, truly eminent Justice Shoremi, perhaps Baba has not noted that, but Chief Kayode Aderemi is also stubborn in a positive manner, and is persistent when he takes a task to hand. I remember when I was in office as Attorney General, and I remember him engaging me on the issue of reforms to the tenancy law, landlord and tenancy law of Ogun State. And until we did something about it, he never relented. He would sometimes barrack me in the office. He would sometimes ask me, what are we doing about what we are talking about when I attend MBA meetings and other bar activities. Until we did something about it, he never relented. Chief Aderemi, now that you have taken the additional responsibility of Asiwaju Bamufi, and Bamufi as we ought to continue with that good work. The book, as we shall soon see, comes out well presented. It talks about, and what I would summarize it as talking about is the anthropology of the business side of law, speaking from a personal experience. To me, and to my mind, it represents a trailblazer in that aspect of law that has many sides to it. A trailblazer in the sense that the author has started from a personal experience of his towards understanding what really drives people into charting a career in law. And it's commendable. The book is divided into 6 chapters. And I would, without giving too much out, so that we will all be encouraged to reward this intellectual endeavor, I shall be touching on different sides of the book. In chapter 1, which he labeled the introduction, Chief Kayode Aderemi introduces us to what actually motivated him to start a career in law. He wasted no time in letting his reader know that there were several options open to him. And even as an undergraduate student, the passionate spirit in him was so apparent in the fact that he was an entrepreneur. 2 things stand out in that chapter. The first, and this is truly remarkable, is that even as an undergraduate, Chief Kayode Aderemi was already lending to fellow students money in 6-figure digits. And I'm quoting directly, paraphrasing directly from what I have read in that book. Secondly, he tells us the story, the moving story of how Papa came home one day, and according to him, looking very sad, "Daddy, what is it? This is so unusual." And Papa replied to him that a young police officer harassed me today. And there and then, the now Chief Aderemi couldn't sleep. And then he said, "Well, I'm going to avenge this. And I'm going to do law to achieve that." So he introduces us to several things and several factors that nearly derailed us having such a lucky fellow. He started with his internship with that great legend, Ariafe Babalola, who told him that, "Look, whatever you do, remember that practice of the law is also a business." He introduces us to at least one temptation. These are things that will come and meet every one of us. The temptation of packing it up with the law, in all essence, the temptation of somebody holding a very juicy carrot to get him to do something that is incompatible with what a man of integrity will do, especially when you need these resources. He introduces us to the nature of having self-checks, and in that same chapter, discussing what success is regarded as to a successful lawyer. According to him, it means different things to different lawyers, and it would mean if you have achieved a skill set, financial comfortability, or if you are making impact on the society. Well, he introduces us and talks about the fact that in achieving success, which means different things to different lawyers, he gave the example of a colleague of his who, on being called to the bar, said simply passing the bar examination means success to him. All in all, the introductory chapter 1, is rich. I have learned from it, and I commend that to us all. For example, discussing the origins of the law and discussing the anthropological aspect of it is something which is intriguing. In chapter 2, he discusses the subject, why am I a lawyer? He started by saying that purpose fuels passion. However, in his usual self-deprecating manner, he uses a phrase that, well, his own purpose seemed to be infantile and ignorant, and I'm quoting him directly. To the reader, at least that's how I felt, I don't think so. I just think that from little acorns do great oaks grow. In other words, what he thinks is infantile and ignorant, to the careful reader who reads between the lines, learns significant lessons in life. He tells us about the example of another great respected king, Oba Ogun, who I personally think is worthy of emulation. Oba Ogunleye became a lawyer at 74, and I'm indeed intrigued to note and to say that Kabiyesi does not only remain active in practice, even today, is a student of studying to achieve and to earn his PhD in law. So all of these things are introduced to us as a means of understanding that the purpose of life can always be found at any time. In chapter 3, Chief Kayode Aderemi discusses the historical antecedents of the practice of law. For example, he made reference to something I found very interesting as constituting the origins of law, and made reference to what I didn't know before now. And I'm grateful that you put this down for posterity and for academic interest. He spoke about the Order of St. John in Malta, and they are called the Castellanian. He traced the history of law practice from medieval to Middle Ages to modern times. He spoke about why we have legal jargons even retained until today. Spoke about understanding the reasoning why there must be oratory skills for people who are into the practice of law. He spoke about the origins. In my mind, I was wondering as a reviewer, as an academic critic, why would we want to understand and have all of this written in this good book, I must say? And the answer soon came to fall. That is to understand that if you understand what you want to join, how it all started, you will situate yourself within it as a lawyer to know whether indeed that is what you want to achieve. Then in chapter 4, he spoke about the experience of lawyers. And for good measure, he introduced some 4 lawyers. Well, the interview he conducted with me in 2019 came first. And I wouldn't know whether I should speak about what I said at that time, so that I won't be in conflict. So I will leave us all to go and read that. So with the current Attorney General, the Honorable Oluwashina Obubade, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, he spoke about somebody who's well respected in the legal profession, Yemi Kadiji Johnson, and Towulade Akinale. The common thread that I find in this chapter is that diligence, forthrightness, skills acquisition, being honest, courageous, and having plenty of fortitude is something a legal practitioner or a lawyer must have. I'm not going to go beyond that, so that we would have the interest in acquiring this very important and, I dare say, good book. In chapter 5, he looked at the experience of lawyers as a form of encouragement to those coming behind, to whom he has bequeathed these chronicles from the perspective of judges. And some judges were examined in terms of what their opinions were. Truly eminent, the Honorable Justice Akinyemi was one of them, the Honorable Justice Majekotumi, another, the Honorable Justice Boyega Ogunfowora, yet another, and the Honorable Justice N.O. Urojaye. And then, from the experience of judges, we looked at it from another perspective. There was more emphasis on how a lawyer must work on himself to ensure that he exhibits those personal traits that will make you a truly great lawyer. The common thread we find here are the virtues of diligence, forthrightness, skills, being honest, avoiding lateness, respect, good ethics, courtesy, and indeed what the Yoruba will call Omoluabi, a complete man, a gentleman. Again here, we're going to leave that to a personal experience. And in chapter 6, which is the epilogue, he discusses in detail what his own perceptions are. And I dare say that they are good ones in 8 points. He spoke about the virtue of dressing well. It would be turning out simple and well attired, neat and presentable as a virtue that every lawyer must cultivate. I'm not sure that the Honorable Justice Shoremi had seen this when he alluded to it earlier on when he was speaking to us. I want to expand that a little bit. As is expected in a gathering like this, we are not all only lawyers. But whatever it is, we must turn out well. Irinisi ni soni lojo goes the Yoruba idiom in this regard. The author discusses the inimical effect of turning out in old and torn weeds. At first glance, I thought this was a bit harsh, but reading and understanding what he meant by turning up in old and torn weeds brings out in his usual self the forthrightness of speaking exactly and giving us the story exactly as it is. According to him, old and torn weeds do not win cases anyway, and cases are not won or lost on the basis of your seniority, which you intend to portray by showing us how tattered your old and torn weeds or robes are. In all, the book is full of a good, decent, and chatty use of words and language. The skills put into it is a mix between formal language, as you will expect to find in books of legal slangs, formal language, and conversational style, which mix very well in a way not to detract from a good writer's perspective. The book is well presented, and it is devoid of any grave error, in my own opinion. There are a few factual errors. I will only point to one. In the book, Chief Kayode Aderemi described the Honorable Christopher Alexander Shakbara Williams, CMG, as my great maternal my great maternal grandfather. That is not so. The Honorable Christopher Alexander Shakbara Williams was my maternal great grandfather. What do I mean? He was the father of the father of my mother. So, otherwise, the book is written in a style that I find very conversational. The kind of book which us who are familiar with legends in the profession will find in the way Lord Denning wrote The Making of the Law. I have deliberately refrained from conducting an in-depth review, but I hope I have done a little to whet the appetite for reading. For sadly, a reading culture of books, of intellectual pursuits, is something that is becoming a bane in our society. There used to be a saying. They say if you want to hide something from a lazy man, put it in a book and give it to him. Because he won't read, he will never find it. So, whatever academic moral authority I can muster, I'm sure that some of these little errors will be corrected in subsequent editions of the book by Chief Kayode Aderemi. But in all, I enthusiastically and generously commend this book to all, to the reading public, to law students, the legal practitioner, young and old, to libraries everywhere, to judges, to everyone. It is a welcome and worthy addition to any good library. Thank you very much.